In the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, there exists a legend about a train that appears only once a year, on the darkest night of winter. The locals call it the Midnight Express, a phantom train that is said to carry the souls of the damned. Few have seen it, but those who have encountered the Midnight Express are forever changed. Evelyn, a travel writer with a fascination for the supernatural, decided to investigate the legend for herself. She arrived in the small town of Ravenswood, where the Midnight Express was rumored to appear. The town's train station, long abandoned, stood as a silent relic of a bygone era, its crumbling facade hinting at the secrets it held. On the night of the winter solstice, Evelyn prepared for her journey. Armed with a notebook, camera, and an old map of the train's route, she ventured into the cold, moonless night. The air was thick with anticipation, and a sense of foreboding hung over the landscape like a shroud. As midnight approached, Evelyn stood by the old tracks, her breath visible in the freezing air. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant howl of the wind. Suddenly, she heard the faint sound of a train whistle, growing louder with each passing second. Her heart raced as the ground beneath her began to tremble. Out of the darkness, the Midnight Express materialized, its spectral form glowing with an eerie light. The train was a magnificent steam locomotive, its carriages adorned with intricate designs and gilded trim. It moved silently, as if gliding on the tracks. Evelyn felt a magnetic pull, compelling her to board the train. She climbed aboard, the chilling cold seeping into her bones. The interior of the train was opulent, a stark contrast to its ghostly exterior. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting an otherworldly glow on the plush velvet seats. The air was filled with the faint scent of lavender and decay. As Evelyn made her way through the carriages, she felt the presence of unseen passengers. She could hear whispers and soft laughter, as if the spirits of the past were reliving their final journey. In the dining car, she saw ghostly figures seated at tables, their hollow eyes staring into the void. They seemed unaware of her presence, trapped in a perpetual loop of their last moments. Evelyn continued to explore, her fear giving way to curiosity. She reached the observation car, where she found a lone figure standing by the window. It was a man dressed in an old-fashioned conductor's uniform, his face etched with sorrow and regret. "Welcome to the Midnight Express," the ghostly conductor said, his voice echoing through the car. "I am Edward, the conductor of this train. Many years ago, the Midnight Express was the pride of the railway, a luxurious journey through the heart of the mountains. But one fateful night, the train derailed, killing everyone on board. Our souls have been trapped here ever since, doomed to relive the tragedy." Evelyn felt a pang of sympathy for the lost souls. "Is there any way to free you from this curse?" "There is," Edward replied. "A ritual must be performed at the site of the accident. You must gather 3 items: a conductor's hat, a pocket watch, and a piece of coal from the engine. Once you have these items, take them to the site and set them ablaze. Only then will our spirits be free." Determined to help, Evelyn set off to find the items. She navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the train, her heart pounding with each step. She found the conductor's hat in Edward's quarters, the pocket watch in a passenger's luggage, and the piece of coal in the engine room. With the items in hand, Evelyn left the train and made her way to the site of the accident. The wreckage was hidden deep within the forest, a twisted mass of metal and wood. She placed the items in a circle and set them on fire, chanting the words Edward had taught her. As the flames consumed the items, the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy. The ground beneath her trembled, and the spirits of the passengers appeared, their faces filled with a mix of sorrow and hope. Evelyn watched in awe as the spirits began to fade, their forms dissolving into the night. The Midnight Express, too, began to dissolve, its spectral form dissipating like mist in the wind. Evelyn felt a sense of peace, knowing she had helped bring closure to the lost souls. She returned to Ravenswood, forever changed by her encounter with the ghost train. In the years that followed, the legend of the Midnight Express lived on, but its haunting grip on the town had been broken. Evelyn's story became a testament to the power of compassion and the unbreakable bond between the living and the dead. And so, the tale of the Midnight Express haunting found its place in the annals of Ravenswood's history, a story of tragedy, redemption, and the enduring spirit of those who dared to uncover the truth. As the years went by, the legend of the Midnight Express continued to captivate the imagination of both locals and visitors. The story of the ghost train and Evelyn's daring journey became a staple of paranormal lore in Ravenswood. Despite the spirits being set free, the mysteries surrounding the Midnight Express remained a topic of fascination. Evelyn's encounter with the ghost train had profoundly impacted her. She wrote a best-selling book detailing her experiences, which brought her acclaim and a dedicated following. Paranormal enthusiasts and thrill-seekers from all over the country flocked to Ravenswood, hoping to catch a glimpse of the supernatural and experience the thrill of the unknown. The town of Ravenswood embraced its haunted heritage, with local businesses capitalizing on the legend. Ghost tours, themed events, and haunted train rides became popular attractions, drawing curious visitors eager to immerse themselves in the eerie history of the Midnight Express. The once sleepy town thrived, transforming into a vibrant hub for paranormal tourism. Evelyn, however, felt a deeper connection to the Midnight Express than mere fascination. She continued her research, delving into the lives of the passengers and uncovering more about the train's final journey. One particularly cold winter night on the anniversary of her first encounter with the ghost train, she felt an inexplicable urge to return to the old tracks. She arrived at the familiar spot by the abandoned station, the night as dark and silent as it had been years before. As she stood by the tracks, a sense of calm washed over her. She closed her eyes and listened to the sounds of the night, her thoughts drifting to the spirits she had helped free. Suddenly, a faint light appeared in the distance, accompanied by the soft sound of a train whistle. Evelyn's heart skipped a beat as the Midnight Express materialized once more, its ghostly form glowing with an ethereal light. This time, however, the train carried an air of tranquility rather than sorrow. Evelyn felt a presence beside her and turned to see Edward, the ghostly conductor, standing by her side. His expression was one of gratitude and peace. "Thank you, Evelyn," Edward said, his voice filled with emotion. "You have given us the closure we needed. Our spirits are free, but the Midnight Express remains as a guardian of the forgotten and the lost. It will continue to appear, not as a harbinger of doom, but as a reminder of the power of compassion and the importance of remembering those who came before us." Unquote. Evelyn nodded, her eyes brimming with tears. She understood now that the Midnight Express had become a symbol of hope and redemption, a testament to the enduring bond between the living and the dead. She watched as the ghost train slowly faded into the night, its legacy forever etched in the annals of Ravenswood's history. As Evelyn walked back to the town, she felt a sense of fulfillment and purpose. She knew that her journey with the Midnight Express was far from over. There were more stories to uncover, more spirits to help, and more mysteries to solve. And with each step she took, she carried with her the memories of those who had found peace through her efforts. The tale of the Midnight Express haunting would continue to captivate audiences for generations to come. A story of tragedy, redemption, and the enduring spirit of those who dared to seek the truth. In the heart of the American Midwest, a legend persists about a ghost train that appears on moonless nights. The locals call it the ghost train to nowhere, a phantom locomotive that seemingly materializes out of thin air, only to vanish just as mysteriously. Few dare to speak of it, but those who have seen it are forever haunted by the memories. Sarah, an adventurous journalist with a penchant for uncovering the supernatural, was drawn to the legend of the ghost train. Determined to uncover the truth, she traveled to the small town of Ashton, a place steeped in mystery and eerie tales. The town's train station, abandoned for decades, stood as a silent sentinel of a bygone era. One evening, Sarah armed herself with a flashlight, a camera, and a sense of resolve as she set out to the old train tracks. The night was dark and still, the moon hidden behind thick clouds. She followed the rusty rails, her footsteps echoing in the quiet night. As she ventured deeper into the countryside, a dense fog began to roll in, shrouding the landscape in an eerie mist. Suddenly, Sarah heard the distant sound of a train whistle. She quickened her pace, heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. The whistle grew louder, and she could see a faint light piercing through the fog. Her breath caught in her throat as the ghostly train materialized before her, its spectral form glowing with an otherworldly light. The train was an old steam locomotive, its paint faded and its windows dark. It moved silently, as if gliding on the tracks. Sarah felt an irresistible pull to board the train, her curiosity overcoming her fear. As she stepped onto the train, she was engulfed by a chilling cold that penetrated her very bones. Inside, the train was eerily quiet. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and coal. Sarah made her way through the dimly lit carriages, her flashlight casting long shadows on the walls. The seats were empty, yet she could sense an unseen presence watching her every move. As she reached the dining car, she saw a figure sitting at a table, its back turned to her. The figure was dressed in old-fashioned clothing, and as Sarah approached, it slowly turned to face her. It was a ghostly apparition, a man with hollow eyes and a sorrowful expression. "Welcome," the ghostly man said in a voice that echoed through the car. "You have found the ghost train to nowhere." Sarah's heart raced, but she remained determined. "Who are you? What happened here?" The ghostly man sighed, his form flickering like a candle flame. "I am Samuel, the conductor of this train. Many years ago, this train was bound for a remote town, but it never arrived. A terrible accident took place, and the train derailed, killing everyone on board. Our spirits have been trapped here ever since, doomed to ride the rails for eternity." Sarah felt a pang of sympathy for the lost souls. "Is there any way to break the curse?" "There is," Samuel replied. "A ritual must be performed at the site of the accident. You must gather 3 items: a pocket watch from the conductor's quarters, a photograph of the passengers, and a piece of coal from the engine. Once you have these items, take them to the site and set them ablaze. Only then will our spirits be free." Determined to help, Sarah set off to find the items. She navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the train, her flashlight revealing glimpses of other ghostly passengers, their faces etched with despair. She found the pocket watch in the conductor's quarters, the photograph in a passenger's luggage, and the piece of coal in the engine room. With the items in hand, Sarah left the train and made her way to the site of the accident, guided by Samuel's instructions. The fog had lifted, revealing the twisted remains of the derailed train. She placed the items in a circle and set them on fire, chanting the words Samuel had taught her. As the flames consumed the items, Sarah heard the anguished cries of the trapped spirits. The ground beneath her trembled, and the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy. Suddenly, the spirits of the passengers appeared, their faces now serene. They looked at Sarah with gratitude before fading into the night. The ghost train, too, began to dissolve, its spectral form dissipating like mist in the wind. Sarah watched in awe as the train and its passengers were finally freed from their eternal torment. Exhausted but triumphant, Sarah returned to Ashton, her heart full of the knowledge that she had helped bring peace to the lost souls. The legend of the ghost train to nowhere would live on, but its haunting grip on the town had been broken. And as for Sarah, she knew she had experienced a story that would stay with her forever. In the days that followed, Sarah's experience with the ghost train became the talk of the town. Her story drew attention from paranormal investigators, curious locals, and thrill-seekers alike. The legend of the ghost train to nowhere evolved, with new layers of mystery and intrigue being added by those eager to explore the old tracks and the site of the accident. Despite the newfound peace brought to the spirits, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to uncover. She spent her nights poring over old records and interviewing longtime residents, piecing together the history of the ill-fated train. Her research revealed a hidden chapter, a secret cargo that had been on board the night of the accident. Driven by a need to know the full story, Sarah returned to the site where the train had derailed. This time, she was accompanied by a team of seasoned paranormal investigators, armed with advanced equipment and a sense of adventure. As they set up their gear and began their investigation, the air grew thick with anticipation. The group split up, each member exploring a different section of the site. Sarah found herself drawn to a secluded area where the train's wreckage was most concentrated. She felt a chill in the air, a familiar sensation that told her she was not alone. As she examined the twisted metal and decaying wood, she noticed an old, rusted box partially buried in the ground. With careful hands, Sarah unearthed the box and opened it, revealing its contents: a collection of letters, photographs, and a small, ornate mirror. The letters detailed the journey of the train and the lives of the passengers, painting a vivid picture of their hopes and dreams. The photographs showed smiling faces, unaware of the tragedy that awaited them. The mirror, however, held a different story. As Sarah gazed into it, she saw fleeting images of the past, glimpses of the passengers' final moments. The mirror seemed to be a portal, connecting the present with the past. Sarah felt a surge of empathy for the lost souls and a renewed determination to bring closure to their story. As the team reconvened, they shared their findings and experiences. Each member had encountered strange phenomena, ghostly apparitions, disembodied voices, and unexplained cold spots. It became clear that the spirits were still present, drawn to the energy of their final journey. Sarah suggested performing a final ritual, using the items they had discovered to create a bridge between the past and present. The team gathered around the box, placing the letters, photographs, and mirror in a circle. They lit candles and began to recite the names of the passengers, honoring their memory and seeking their release. As they chanted, the air grew colder and the candles flickered. The ground trembled, and the spirits of the passengers appeared, their faces filled with a mix of sorrow and hope. Sarah held the mirror up to the spirits, allowing them to see their reflection and remember who they once were. In a moment of profound silence, the spirits began to fade, their forms dissolving into the night. The air grew warmer, and the sense of peace that followed was palpable. The ghost train had fulfilled its final journey, and the spirits were free at last. Sarah and her team left the site, knowing they had witnessed something extraordinary. The legend of the ghost train to nowhere would live on, but its haunting grip had been loosened. Sarah's story became a testament to the power of empathy, determination, and the unbreakable bond between the living and the dead. And so, the ghost train's tale found its place in the annals of Hollowbrook's history, a story of tragedy, redemption, and the enduring spirit of those who dared to uncover the truth. The legend of the ghost train to nowhere had been whispered for generations in the sleepy town of Cumberland. Nestled in the Appalachian Mountains, the town was a picturesque place with rolling hills, dense forests, and a quaint, old train station that seemed frozen in time. But beneath its charming facade, Cumberland held a dark, secretive phantom train that appeared on moonless nights, carrying the souls of the lost and the damned. Thomas, an investigative journalist with a passion for uncovering the supernatural, arrived in Cumberland to explore the legend. He had heard stories of the ghost train from locals and was determined to witness it for himself. Armed with a camera, a voice recorder, and a sense of unwavering curiosity, he set out to uncover the truth. On the night of the new moon, Thomas made his way to the abandoned train station. The air was thick with anticipation, and a dense fog had settled over the town, shrouding the landscape in an eerie mist. The station, once bustling with activity, now stood silent and forlorn, its dilapidated structure a haunting reminder of its past. As midnight approached, Thomas stood by the old tracks, his breath visible in the cold air. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant call of an owl. Suddenly, he heard the faint sound of a train whistle, growing louder with each passing second. The ground beneath him began to tremble, and a chill ran down his spine. Out of the darkness, the ghost train materialized, its spectral form glowing with an otherworldly light. The train was a magnificent steam locomotive, its carriages adorned with intricate designs and gilded trim. It moved silently, as if gliding on the tracks. Thomas felt an irresistible pull, compelling him to board the train. He climbed aboard, the chilling cold seeping into his bones. The interior of the train was opulent, a stark contrast to its ghostly exterior. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting an eerie glow on the plush velvet seats. The air was filled with the faint scent of lavender and decay. As Thomas made his way through the carriages, he felt the presence of unseen passengers. He could hear whispers and soft laughter, as if the spirits of the past were reliving their final journey. In the dining car, he saw ghostly figures seated at tables, their hollow eyes staring into the void. They seemed unaware of his presence, trapped in a perpetual loop of their last moments. Determined to uncover the mystery of the ghost train, Thomas continued to explore. He reached the observation car, where he found a lone figure standing by the window. It was a man dressed in an old-fashioned conductor's uniform, his face etched with sorrow and regret. "Welcome to the ghost train to nowhere," the ghostly conductor said, his voice echoing through the car. "I am Henry, the conductor of this train. Many years ago, this train was bound for a remote town, but it never arrived. A terrible accident took place, and the train derailed, killing everyone on board. Our souls have been trapped here ever since, doomed to ride the rails for eternity." Thomas felt a pang of sympathy for the lost souls. "Is there any way to break the curse?" "There is," Henry replied. "A ritual must be performed at the site of the accident. you must gather 3 items: a conductor's hat, a pocket watch, and a piece of coal from the engine. Once you have these items, take them to the site and set them ablaze. Only then will our spirits be free. Determined to help, Thomas set off to find the items. He navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the train, his heart pounding with each step. He found the conductor's hat in Henry's quarters, the pocket watch in a passenger's luggage, and the piece of coal in the engine room. With the items in hand, Thomas left the train and made his way to the site of the accident. The wreckage was hidden deep within the forest, a twisted mass of metal and wood. He placed the items in a circle and set them on fire, chanting the words Henry had taught him. As the flames consumed the items, the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy. The ground beneath him trembled, and the spirits of the passengers appeared, their faces filled with a mix of sorrow and hope. Thomas watched in awe as the spirits began to fade, their forms dissolving into the night. The ghost train, too, began to dissolve, its spectral form dissipating like mist in the wind. Thomas felt a sense of peace, knowing he had helped bring closure to the lost souls. He returned to Cumberland, forever changed by his encounter with the ghost train. In the years that followed, the legend of the ghost train to nowhere lived on, but its haunting grip on the town had been broken. Thomas's story became a testament to the power of compassion and the unbreakable bond between the living and the dead. And so, the tale of Ghost Train to Nowhere found its place in the annals of Cumberland's history, a story of tragedy, redemption, and the enduring spirit of those who dared to uncover the truth. As Thomas returned to his temporary lodging in Cumberland, the weight of his encounter with the ghost train settled heavily on his mind. His dreams that night were filled with images of the spectral passengers and the haunting glow of the Midnight Express. When he woke, he was determined to document every detail of his experience. His work could bring peace to the restless spirits and lay the groundwork for others to understand the legend of the ghost train. In the following days, Thomas delved deeper into the history of the train and its ill-fated journey. He spent hours in the local library, sifting through old newspapers, records, and personal accounts of the train's passengers. Each piece of information he uncovered painted a clearer picture of the events leading up to the tragic accident. One particularly foggy morning, Thomas received an unexpected visitor. An elderly woman named Margaret, whose grandfather had been the original conductor of the ghost train to nowhere, came to share her family's story. She held a tattered journal filled with her grandfather's handwritten notes and sketches, chronicling his time on the train and the day it disappeared. Margaret recounted how her grandfather had loved the train and its passengers, treating them like family. He had always been meticulous in his duties, but on the day of the accident, he had sensed something was wrong. Despite his best efforts, the train had derailed, plunging into a ravine and trapping the souls of all on board. Thomas was moved by her story and asked if he could borrow the journal to further his research. Margaret agreed, hoping that by sharing her family's history, the spirits of the passengers could finally find peace. With the journal in hand, Thomas pieced together the final moments of the train's journey. He discovered that the train had been carrying a precious cargo and ancient relic believed to have cursed those who came into contact with it. The relic had been hidden away, its existence known only to a few, but its dark influence had been felt by all. Determined to lift the curse, Thomas sought out the location of the relic, which had been hidden in the wreckage deep in the forest. He gathered the necessary tools and returned to the site of the accident, feeling the weight of the spirit's eyes upon him. As he dug through the twisted metal and rotting wood, he unearthed a small, ornate box. Inside was the relica-weathered golden amulet adorned with cryptic symbols. The air around him seemed to grow colder as he held the amulet, and he felt the presence of the spirits intensify. With a sense of purpose, Thomas carried the amulet to a clearing where he had performed the ritual before. He placed it in a circle of salt, along with the conductor's journal and a photograph of the passengers. He then set the items ablaze, chanting the incantation he had learned from Henry. As the flames consumed the relic and the other items, the ground trembled, and the spirits of the passengers appeared once more. This time, their faces were serene, free from the torment that had plagued them for so long. Thomas watched in awe as the spirits began to ascend, their forms dissolving into the night sky. Henry, the ghostly conductor, appeared before Thomas one last time. "Thank you," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "You have freed us from the curse that bound us. Our souls can finally rest." With that, Henry and the other spirits vanished, leaving Thomas alone in the clearing. The air grew warm, and a sense of peace washed over him. He knew that he had fulfilled his mission, and that the legend of the ghost train to nowhere would be remembered as a story of redemption and the enduring bond between the living and the dead. Thomas returned to Cumberland, where he wrote a comprehensive account of his journey. His story captivated readers and shed light on the true nature of the ghost train and its passengers. The once feared legend became a symbol of hope and compassion, reminding all who heard it that even the darkest of curses could be lifted with determination and empathy. And so, the tale of Ghost Train to Nowhere found its place in the hearts of those who dared to uncover the truth, a story of tragedy, redemption, and the enduring spirit of those who sought to make peace with the past.